Hey guys, we're back with our next episode of Sryth, our fantasy text-based RPG. Last time we finished Proving Grounds 3, so we've done all the Proving Grounds now. So now all we have to do is go around and do adventures, right? Obviously, it is a new day. Well, you don't know that, obviously, but I'm telling you, obviously it's a new day, so I'm gonna do my new day things. But hey, thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. Once we do that, we're just gonna look around and see what's around to do. So let's go. We're gonna go to the Windows building first. Do our quick 7 daily experience. I'm not feeling good whatsoever. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know. But all I want to do is go to Southside Glen, hit Goblin Claw Inn, do this Omid quest. Hopefully this is the last time we have to do it. Otherwise, I'm real annoyed. How about it? You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Uh-oh. There's something new's happening. Moving up to you, the rusted blades of the ancient sword slicked with flesh blood of two armored ghouls. As a hideous, snarling, undead pair swiftly close in, you adeptly position yourself so that you face them one at a time. Alright, like quick battle. The second ghoul steps over the remains of the first and swipes at you with a long rusted blade. Okay. Sinister bone warriors clatter and hiss as they move forward to attack. You step over the splinter remain of the slain skeleton and instinctively resume your combat-ready stance. And the next one, and the next one. The last of the four. Its movements are rigid. Stepping back for the shattering remains of the four skeletons, you quickly sever the battle that rages on the vast fire-blackened plain. You realize that you haven't yet been transported back to the Golden Claw begins to set in, invoking the most paralyzing sense of fear that you may be trapped here. Pushing aside the terrifying possibility at the moment, you decide you must immediately hunt for a way out of this place, suddenly recalling that your excursions into this strange realm had all involved rendering timely aid to embattled human warriors. You promptly determine that your only hope may be to continue to follow along that course of action. Then you allow your eyes to scour the nearby battlefield. You spot quickly two places where undead seem to have gained the upper hand. Several dozen yards at your left, at the edge of a broad basin, a small group of humans are pitching a desperate fight against a dozen ghouls. The human lines continue to fall back and appears ready to buckle beneath the ceaseless and savage undead assault. To your right, at the top of the small, alone, sword-wielding humans attempt to fend off 10 skeletons. The vicious undead warriors have moved to encircle the brave but doomed foe. I guess we'll help the mini. You rush toward the embattled human regiment, hoping that you'll reach them in time to repel the undead attack. As you draw into a dozen yards, the entire horde of ghouls suddenly turns, begin moving in direction, paying no further heed to their original foes. The human warriors, wounded in their exhaustion, seem unaware of your approach. They seize the unexpected opportunity to quickly retreat across the battlefield, leaving you on your own to face the horde. The 12 ghouls, moaning and snarling, lurch swiftly towards you, bearing with them an overwhelming stench of decay. Already battle-weary, but having realized that escape is not possible, you position yourself to face the horde one at a time. Or we use necromancy. Calling upon the mastery of necromancy, you silently command the approaching undead horde to retreat, and when it appears your directive has not been heeded, you can issue the silent command. This time, much to your profound relief, half of the 12 ghouls turn and set off in the opposite direction across the blackened plain. The 6 remaining ghouls continue to advance upon you. Realizing the flight is on, I'll show you draw your weapon. Yourself into combat ready stance and prepare to battle. Last of the ghouls topple to the ground at your feet. With your muscles still tense and your every sense alert for the first sign of any further danger, you step back and wipe away the sweat streaking down your brow. As you attempt to recover in the wake of your battle against the ghoul horde, you're suddenly startled by a low steady rumbling sound. Before you can even contemplate the source of the unnerving noise might be, a flaming wagon, drawn by a pair of skeletal war horses, rolls into view over the back of a small child rise. The wagon pulls up within a dozen yards of you, suddenly draws to a halt. Two armored skeletons, their fleshless torsos engulfed in flame, leap from the back of the wagon and stride toward you across the fire-blackened ground. The skeletons, each wielding a fearsome broad-bladed axe, hiss wildly as they close in. You brazenly plant your feet and prepare to fend off their impending attack. And the second one. Ooh. We're in trouble here, which I need to then use restoration. Use it. Bro. Use it. You quickly turn your attention to the burning wagon, rising out of the flames that engulf the back of the ragged vessel. Is a tattered robe seen unscathed by the fire that surrounds him is a tall, rotting, undead figure. An overpowering stench of decay assails your assaults. A sense as a hideous ghoul staggered from the wagon. Okay. Can I heal now, or what? How about you let me use restoration first, and then we'll talk. Thank you. Stumbling towards you, the ghoul lord staggers back and drops to his knees as the flames that engulf his rotting shell intensify. With a final long and haunting wail, the powerful undead creature vanishes in the midst of the raging blaze. Nearly a minute later, when the flames subside, only a pile of ash remains to mark the spot where your enemy fell. You're about to step forward and scatter the ghoul's ashes with your foot. With a loud and unified cry of dismay comes from the embattled regiment of humans several dozen yards to your left. You instinctively turn around and toward the unnerving sound on the abject highs fall upon a sight that makes your blood run cold. Stomping towards you, and every footfall shaking the ground, staring up thick clouds of soot and ash, is a towering two-headed skeleton, the undead giant, his fleshless fingers wrapping tightly around the hat of a tree-sized, iron-spiked wooden club, effortlessly scattering the human bold enough to stand in its path. Take it on. The towering skeleton, its two massive skulls turning this way and that, and the fearsome giant scans the battlefield, steps towards you and raises its spiked club, standing defiant in the path of the two-headed terror. You boldly prepare to meet its advance. A loud groan coupled with the sharp sound of slithering bones signals the end of the massive two-headed skeleton. With the final hiss, the towering undead terror topples in a heap in uncharted plain. You step back and struggle to catch your breath as you admire your handiwork. After checking over your gear and continue to realization that your battle with the undead giant likely attracted unwanted attention, you set off across the field of battle. After covering nearly 300 yards and managing to evade several large groups of roaming undead, you reach the base of a long, tall ridge that raised off the plain like a spine of some half-buried beast. Realizing that the top of the ridge will afford you a much better vantage point from which to surface this nightmare's realm and perhaps find a way out of it, you begin swift but cautious ascent. You reach the top of the ridge and your heart sinks. For a new lofty vantage point you see for miles in all directions across a vast fire-blackened plain, but the scene spreads out below you is one of hopeless devastation and unimaginable brutality. Perhaps as many as 100,000 undead and nearly equal number of humans wage battle across the bleak expanse. The lifeless bodies of countless humans littered the plain, some sprawled out in the precise spot where they fell, while others have been heaped in the great piles, many of which are now burning. Thick columns of dark smoke rise from the piles of burning bodies, casting a sickening, pungent odor into the poisonous atmosphere. Nerved by the scale of the battle, which is larger than you could ever imagine, you're about to head back. The base of the ridge begins looking for a way out of this place when something takes hold of your legs. Your eye shoots down to your feet, and the earth around you explodes, showering you with dirt and rocks, and a horde of scale-armored ghouls tear their way out of the ground. You pull your leg from the clawed hand that grasps it and fall back, instinctively drawing yourself to a combat-ready stance as the armored undead fiends and dozen more surround you. Taking care not to lose your footing atop the steep, narrow ridge, you bravely engage the first. The black blood oozing out of the wounds is now covering its rotting torso. It is ghoul slumps to the ground at your feet and expires. Gross. Nearly dodged the clawed swipe of the undead foe as you turn and take flight at the top of the steep, narrow ridge. After nearly a minute, when it becomes apparently no longer being pursued, you carefully make your way back to the base of the rock's bar. You follow the base of the ridge for several hundred yards in the same direction, furtively passing many roving bands of humans and undead that prowl the charred terrain. Just as the rocky spine has become a little more than a line of dwindling boulders, you happen upon a young warrior lying on his back up against a large rounded rock. His chain shirt hangs in tatters across his thick torso, doing little to conceal the blood-soaked tunic beneath. His breathing is shallow and ragged, and he appears to lack the strength necessary to move either his arms or legs, and the young man is rapidly succumbing to his wound. As you stoop to his side, hopefully you may at least be able to provide him a small degree of comfort in which you can assume is his final minutes of his life. He slowly turns his better head in your direction. As his eyes open, you imagine a faint smile and a quick nod. He says something in a strange language you cannot comprehend, and after a pause he begins again, this time in your own tongue. "You've come," he said, his voice not barely above. "At last you've come. Fortune shines on us today. Too late for me, but not for others. You saved them. Saved us all. This fight will now be ours. Go, you must go. This is not your time and place. You must go right now." Suddenly, your eyes are drawn to your young and bloody left hand, resting on the scorched earth less than an inch, and the tip is a pair of bone dice. The small white cubes, each of these sides marked with different number of glittering black dots. There's the same dice you've been rolling in the Goblin Claw Inn. The dice quiver and then flip on the air, landing back at them precisely the same spot that occupied only a moment ago. Each upturned side now bears 6 black dots, for a total of 12. A violent fit of coughing comes over the dying man, instantly drawing your eyes away from the dice before you can revoke it. On the fallen warrior, however, the vision begins rapidly fading, and in moments everything goes black. The darkness lifts, and you once again find yourself seated across the table from a leering old man. The thronging of the Goblin Claw's bustling common room appears to have taken no notice of either your sudden disappearance or reappearance. For a moment you wonder if indeed you ever left the inn. "Well done, my brave friend," said the old man, once again exposing the gruesome interior of his rock-filled mouth. "You are now all of them saved, even me. It is now how it should have been, and we can at last be done with this tired affair. Thank you." The old man reaches into a pocket sewn in the side of his tunic, and seems to search for something. He slowly withdraws his hand, and his eyes widen as a flood of golden light spills out of the pocket, momentarily dazzling you with its fierce glow. As the glow fades, the old man opens his hands to reveal a large yellow gem fitted in an iron clasp. It is the very gem you saw last fasten the cape of the fearsome skeletal champion. That word, he nimbly moves the gem in the clasp, and the remarkable jewel on the table, propelled by an unseen force. The large gem slides over to you. Unable to resist, you reach out and close your hand around the glittering stone. Your body trembles as your fingers close around the cold, faceted surface of the yellow gem. Terrifying images of the vast horde of undead marching across the black and carnage-strewn battlefield take form in your mind. You tremble. Your trembling subsides, but immediately replaced by a deep, gnawing chill that swiftly causes you to lose all sensation in your hands and feet. As the chill fades and feeling returns to your extremities, you suddenly realize that the yellow gem is no longer in your hand. You uncurl your fingers and discover only a small layer of fine dust coating your palm. In the wake of the gem's unexpected disappearance, you feel somehow different. Look across the table, you get to seek some sort of explanation about this whole affair. The old man only find he's no longer there. Only a pair of gold tokens rest on the edge of the table next to his empty flagon. He's gone off again, has he? I wouldn't worry over it, though. He'll turn up again, though I'm not sure you must know more about his comings and goings than I do. So you suspicion that your encounters with the strange old man have at last run its course. You can't help but feel that you will meet up with him again. After all, Gluttsmill himself mentioned the old man's frequent patronage of the Goblin Claw. After waiting several minutes, all the while observing the largely ridiculous antics of the inn's more lively patrons, you rise and prepare to once again move on your way outside. Well, that became an ordeal, huh? But we finish it, yay! I'm gonna go to my castle. Make candles. I'm an apple orchard, isn't that nice? There's granola gold in this. Alright, upgrade's done. And save. Let's see. I can train conjuration, elementalism, fortification. Well, fortification has been doing me a world of good. So I think that one is the one I will do. Let's see. Chain any skills? We cannot. Alright, that's it then. We're level rank 66. I'm number 6 in weaponry. Very cool. Alright, where's it? Well, let's go back to Southwest. Visit Theralda's Silver Scars Tower. Precariously perched on the summit on the edge of the steep, sparsely forested hillock is a ruined tower that serves as both the home and workshop of the famed transmutationist Theralda's Silver Scar. The crumbling structure at the end of the path that snakes its way down the spine of the sharp rise was once a watchtower, though only the first floor remains sound and serviceable. A wooden sign affixed to the tower wall next to the heavy oaken door is emblazoned with the outline of an eye of repair-filled scrolls ajar. The door stands ajar. The interior of the tower resembles a cluttered laboratory. Seated at a long table, the surface of which covered with all manner of arcane paraphernalia, is Theralda Silverscar, toiling away at some small, intricate device. The dark-haired young woman, her enchanting beauty at odds with her infamously frosty demeanor, looks up and acknowledges your arrival with a look of derision. Let's just assume you want something, she says, promptly returning her attention to her previous endeavor. Let's talk. Rhoda seemed reluctant to engage in a casual banter, though she seems more agreeable to conversation when discussion involves her work as a transmutationist. She learned that Theralda, a gifted conjurer, said since she was a young girl, was recently cast out of the Great Circle following an irreconcilable disagreement with the Order over safety and ethical concerns involving the use of transmutation magic. Folks who try to inhibit others from practicing what they themselves could not comprehend are fools of the most dangerous sort. I'm not aware of anyone else utilizing transmutation magic in a way that I am, but that does not invalidate my usage of it. The Theralda tells you that by using transmutation magic to siphon off a portion of an enchanted object's power, she's able to build a vast storage of magical energy that she hopes to be able to put to good use. What good use is that? That would spoil the surprise, she says, winking. Oh, and it wouldn't be anything drastic if that's what you're hinting at, of course. I'll first have to figure out how to extract and manipulate the energy I've been storing. Unless I can do that, there's no hope of being put to any use. Theralda quickly changed the subject for any interest in your recent travels before telling you, after only a minute or two, she needs to get work to return to her work. Let's look at her items. You got some interesting things here, to be sure, she says. But nothing transmutable, at least not anything I'm able to transmute. Alright, that's it. Stop by any time, not too often, of course. Take care of yourself. Okay. So this is southwest. I'm gonna go western next, I think. We did a lot in Trithik, but I know we haven't done everything there is to do in Trithik. So I'm gonna go back there. See about a quest. Let's save. Let's see what's up in the adventures. Lots. Wow. Okay, let's start with this one. And so begin dreams and whispers. Let me get a drink. Hopefully this doesn't last past the episode. An excerpt from the ragged pages of the Journal High Mage Kin Tarib of Rockall. The cube is gone. It is not imprudent to suggest that my own realization of its hold over me is what led to its departure. But there's much I have yet to fathom and may never discover. It is gone. For the loss of its lurking scrutiny and doubt-stirring whispers I shall be grateful, yet I can think of nothing else. In the same breath drawn to curse it, I quietly hope for its sudden return and imagine an impassioned reunification with the fiendish bit. It is my bane, most certainly, and yet I would as soon welcome it as I would banish and destroy it. I become the folly I daily courted and most desired to eschew. The world and its myriad convulsions are for me no longer so easily dissected. The guiding whispers have given way to a trembling silence. Sleep may yet avail me, for it is a dream. In a dream it first arrived, a notion of visitation, a silent cataclysm, disguised a nobility of purpose I have yet to comprehend. It is beauty, it is perfection, it is wisdom, it is clarity, it is terror and kindness, fury and silence, grim death and fantastical rejuvenation. It never was and always is. Now beyond all comprehension the cube is gone, it is mine, and I will have it back. Done, the city of Raqqa, city capital of the kingdom Theodan. Talganar, squinting in the face of the sun's first rays, moved closer to the edge of the causeway, endeavoring to gain a better vantage of the sluggish channel churning past the foot of the embankment. He hated making morning rounds, and in particular the predictable, uneventful patrol of the great causeway that flanked the outer ramparts of the citadel. The stroll along the broad backs of the ancient barriers in the shadow of the great fortress made him feel impossibly small and hopelessly insignificant. He was a competent swordsman, a trained warrior, who had sworn an oath to defend the kingdom and its queen. This morning, like most mornings, he recited an honor pledge word for word under his breath as he stood during the dark water drifting by the bottom of the broad duct, and as they always did, the oath's familiar, elegant, high-minded sentiments rang hollow. He wished death upon his queen, a plague upon her line, and grimly mused about the thrill of watching the towering citadel in all of its splendor crumble into the earth. With his next breath he prayed to be forgiven for wisdom for his queen and for health and honor of her line. Then he spotted something in the channel below, and his heart hammered in his chest. Talganar slid and stumbled onto the steep side of the causeway, making no attempt to stop at the edge of the reedy channel hugging the base of the dike. Splashing in up to his knees, he latched both hands into the blue cloak and tugged and hauled a heavy, bloated body into the stony shoulder of the embankment. Breathless, his red face bathed in sweat, and the guardsman grunted as he struggled to turn over the corpse, for that's what it was, the swollen, pale, sickly looking remains of a man whose face, despite the grotesque disfiguration of death, exuded an unmistakable air of dignity. High Mage Kintereb. Talganar gasped and his face went flush. Struggling to control his rapid breathing only served to turn it ragged. Wheezing, he steadied his footing in the shallow water. He held his breath, lowering his face over that of the dead man, as if the close proximity would betray secrets, perhaps even invalidating his identification. He sat back and exhaled heavily. High Mage Kimtereb was dead, and the Queen would know it before the hour was out. An excerpt from another page of the journal of High Mage Kimtereb of Roka. Midnight will see this tale told to its completion, and for that I am grateful, waiting and hoping its untimely ruinous to mind, body, and soul, though I shall be thankful for which each of those remain largely unembellished, but for how long? How does this end? How should I want it to conclude? My own desire to play no part in the reckoning that pines for darkness, a calculation that bids precious time lurking in the thin shadows before the serene blanket of black, in the beauty and perfection, its wisdom unconstrained, its despair and pleasure forsake of neither. Six notions, each resplendent in their majestic simplicity, the eternal flicker at his heart, a silver whisper, a rare and terrifying glimpse of the truly divine. How did she get it? Did she take it? Did it seek her out? The former seems improbable, the latter less so. She will relinquish it to me. That which I never wanted and still abhor will before dawn again be in my possession, and all will again be as it was, and I will have it back. Your dreams of late are silent and strange. The hour following midnight finds you lost in a restless slumber, gently writhing to the mute rhythm of the dream that's repeatedly plagued your sleep. And over the last short while, standing on the edge of the ring of pale light that envelopes you, the old woman needlessly presses a finger to her withered lips and slowly shakes her head. Her widened grin, revealing a gaping, toothless void, stretches to unnatural proportions across her contorted visage. She seems to suddenly compose herself, and her expression promptly reverts to one of stoic indifference. She waves her hand at the floor, which only now do you notice lies concealed beneath the mist that eddies at your feet. There, resting on the raised square of the stone around which the fog nimbly flows, is a small translucent blue cube, faintly illuminated by the thin silver flame wildly flickering at its core. Effortlessly as it bowed by unseen hands, you raise and step toward the cube, eager to take hold of the curious object, drawn to it through an irresistible desire to acquire and protect it. The old woman, her face now smooth, featureless skin canvas, shrinks back and melts into the gloom at the fringes of this unidentified space. Her final rigid movements scattering the mist dark that ravenously consumes her. Her last gesture before being swallowed by the shadows goes unnoticed. The entirety of your attention is focused on the cube. Suddenly, the silver flame at the heart of the cube briefly flares, emanating a glow that turns pale blue as it passes through the sides of translucent hexahedron. The glow spilling out of the cube coalesces into two hovering spectral images. The ghostly likeness of a dagger floats just to the left of the cube, while to the right, the glowing image of a chalice silently hovers. How about we go for the cube? As you step toward the cube, a light spilling through its translucent sides abruptly fades, and as it does, the ghostly image in its mind suddenly flicker and vanish. Suddenly, the thin silver flame of the translucent cube begins to flicker wildly. The silver flame. Okay. Fine. Arrow. As you approach the spectral image of Arrow, it suddenly intensifies. You detect a faint red aura surrounding the gloomy image. You feel strangely compelled to reach out for the ghostly arrow. As your hand passes through the spectral image of the arrow, its phantom fabric ripples of strange feeling washes over you. The strange sensation fades, and the ghostly image of the arrow briefly dims. Draw your hand, immediately notice that it's enveloped in a faint red glow, and you step back. The glow surrounds your hand quickly dissipates. Let's go for the gauntlet this time. Okay, can I go to the cube now? Suddenly the thin. Yes, flickers wildly. Okay. Bell. Chalice. Cute. Spear. Oh, left flip. Tree. Tree would have a green image. Suddenly, you wake with a start and set bolt right up in bed, staring into familiar darkness as you attempt to shake off the disorientation that results from such an abrupt awakening. A soft whisper from the far corner of the room sends your pulse racing. You strain your eyes in the direction of the sinister utterance, but see nothing. As you scramble off the bed, you suddenly feel something beneath the fingers of your right hand. To your shock and horror, you lift the hand and discover the translucent cube from your dream resting under your palm. Driven by a keen desire to acquire and protect the curious object, you quickly scoop it up. Hexahedron of perpetuity. Okay, what does one do with it? The hour following dawn finds you seated in the edge of your bed, your right hand closed around the cube. Slowly, as you fear it might be revealed, you unfurl your hands and stare down at a small translucent object. Each of the hexahedron's 6 sides bears a intricate engraving, which you immediately realize are identical to the image you encountered in your dream. In the wake of your acquisition of the cube, the silent dreams that plague your restless sleep abruptly cease. As the days pass, you find yourself growing more and more enamored with the curious object, spending long periods of time carefully studying the image engraved in its translucent faces. All the while, you unable to assuage the terrifying notion that someone or something is secretly endeavoring to relieve you of your prize, stalking you unseen while waiting for the opportune time to slip out of the shadows. Your vow to keep the cube safe, to never let it leave your possession, is a vow you quietly recite before closing your eyes at night. And upon waking, the cube is beauty, perfection, wisdom, and might. Its order and chaos. It's nothing and everything is yours, and you alone will have it. Okay. I'm good. So I have this cube now. I have too much stuff on me. Can I equip it? Or I just have it? Just have the hex or whatever of the perpetuity. Interesting. Let's explore the city. Go to Blade Square. Visit the marketplace. I don't really want to sell. Too much stuff on me. I'll still sell it. I'm okay with it. This one I can sell you. Ooh, doesn't either. I'm not selling stuff. So I have too much money. I need to see if if it's better than what I have on, which I highly doubt, but okay, you again approach a young woman whom you first encountered near the Addison tunnels, and she smiles as you draw near her, grim streaked face partially concealed but behind dangling locks of matted black hair. I knew we'd meet again, she said, attempting to brush something from miraculous high. The curse tells me things I wouldn't ordinarily know. It is my only friend these days, if you can believe it. No one else pays me any mind, but why should I care about that? I know the order of things are what they ought to be, and I'll again think straight if all this is to be. Usually it crosses her face, and she costs a step closer as her right hand fumbles it about in a pocket stitched in the outside of a soiled cloak. I have another one for you. It's got the right one. It's got to be the right one, though. Allow me just a moment, I'll find it. Or it will find me. Yes, here we are. This is the second one I've given you. I can't believe I remember our first meeting. It's not so easy these days to recall such things, or much of anything that makes any sense. Mind the edges, sharper than they look. You have to keep finding me so I can give you all the little bits, then I'll be right, or at least stuck with the hope of getting. You can ask the woman a name, but she either doesn't hear your inquiry or fully, or knows it. Keep the little pieces safe, and plan won't work. Even if I can't get it all straight in my head right this moment. I see, think, and breathe this madness, but I know the path. You must help me. I may not remember you if we meet again. Before you attempt to ask her anything else, she turns and rushes off, nimbly slipping through the throng. Having to follow woman, see what you can learn about my movement. You set off in pursuit, keeping several yards behind as she darts through the market crowds. After several minutes, she turns down the alley between two warehouses. You arrive in the mouth of the alley only seconds later, just in time to witness a curious and unexpected sight. You watch the young woman several yards along the alley, drag aside a large iron gate into a small dark opening. She reaches up and pulls the gate back into place behind her. Profoundly intrigued, you consider following her whenever destination beneath the great leaves. Nah, I'm good. We'll follow her next time. There's separate adventures for this? Alright. Well, now I'm not approaching any mysterious figures. I'm going back to the main thoroughfare here. I do want to check on these. This gives me aura, body, mind, spirit, and 316. What will this give me? Just 12. So they're amazing, really. But not enough to put on, so I'm gonna drop them off. Visit my storage room, store items, store the Knights on gear. That way I don't say that by mistake. Alright, well that's going to be the end of our episode. Thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. I think we'll go back to Trithik and do the adventures there to start. So that'll be our next few episodes, doing adventures in Trithik, seeing what's going on in the big city there. So yeah, thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. Until next time, you know what I'm going to say. Peace.